Hey, what's up guys and welcome back to Anime King 3. And today I'm going to be giving you part 23 of What If Naruto Was Betrayed by Hagoromo. Remember to get this one to 100 like as usual, share this to all of your friends in your social media platform, and also guys, go ahead and check out the brand new series over on Anime King, What If Naruto Was Personally Trained by Kurama After He Left the Village. So go ahead and check out that guys and enjoy. And also stay tuned for the new episode coming over on Anime King 2 as well guys. And I hope you guys enjoy each and every one of them. And remember, if you're new, go ahead and click that red subscribe button and join Anime King 2 and Anime King 3. Links will be down in the description for you guys to enjoy. So yeah, without further ado, what do you say begin this new episode? Start the intro. So, the last time we left off, as Mito felt hopeless, she felt like giving up, as she didn't know what to do. Despite her friends being there and their encouraging words, she put on a brave facade, but now it felt hopeless, as not having her brother here. She felt a part of her was missing, as Kurama spoke to her, as he didn't figure her to be the one to give up so easily. As his words end up snapping her back into reality. She would do whatever it takes to bring him back, it doesn't matter what it costs. She would get him back to the village no matter what. And he's her brother. And nothing, despite anything that happened, would ever change that. Nothing can change the bond that the both of them had growing up. Nothing. Meanwhile, Jiraiya was talking to Snady, Kakashi as well in there, talking about the 3-month training trip, as Kakashi will be taking on Sasuke. The sage and his brother told them that they would be in touch, so they might help them along their training session. But Snady didn't believe that strength could win this. After all, the sage directly told her that no one in this timeline has the amount of power to defeat Naruto. No one. So they would have to find some other methods. But Akatsuki was still a problem, and they would be coming after Mito. And seeing that she was one of the best triggers to get Naruto back, they couldn't afford anything to happen to her, so they had to make her stronger. Meanwhile, as Naruto was surrounded by the Sound 4, he quickly put them in their place, bringing the fear of God into their hearts. Teiwaya watched as her teammates were brutally slaughtered as he grabbed her throat. She was about to die as she saw herself inch away from death, but before, he coughed up blood as he released her. As she dropped to the ground panting for air, her body wouldn't allow her to move. His overwhelming presence scared her to no end. Deciding not to kill this human, seeing that she stood her ground and realized when she was out of her league, Naruto decided to make her one of his followers, one of his first ones. Teiwaya knew that she couldn't argue against his command, as she knew if she even moved an inch she would be dead. He removed the mark from her neck instantly, clearing some of her loyalty towards Orochimaru. As he told her to stay here, the only thing she could do was listen as Naruto went. Orochimaru sent everyone to defeat Naruto. Effortlessly, Naruto went through them, as he destroyed Kimimaro without even a second thought. Making his way, Naruto reached Orochimaru. Kabuto tried to attack him, but Naruto grabbed him. Teiwaya had told him that he was a medic, so he did not attack, as he just knocked him out. As Naruto take on Orochimaru, despite bleeding out of his nose, eyes, and mouth, he enjoyed the battle as he tore the Hydra snake into pieces. He ended up freezing Orochimaru's lower half when he returned back to normal into his snake form, what he usually was, before tearing him apart, as he reached in and ripped out Orochimaru's soul and destroyed it, killing the man. Kabuto then checked over him after Naruto forced him to do so. As Naruto's coils were rapidly expanding and they were being destroyed and reformed so quickly, because of his chakra flowing into his system, the seal was holding back so much power it was still not fully transported into the small body of his. And it will take time for his chakra coils to perfectly realign. So that is why he was bleeding and having this nausea that wouldn't hold him down as he sliced Kabuto across the chest, leaving him for dead. Making his way, Teiwaya saw him came back as Naruto flooded his power into her. She felt the power coursing through her body, being the originator, like his mother, of chakra. After all, most of his chakra was entwined with the Jubei after he absorbed the beast chakra, so he was basically the god of all chakra. Naruto could improve, disassemble, realign any chakra that he needed to. So he flooded Teiwaya with so much chakra while keeping a steady rate in her body to make sure it didn't kill her. As he turned her into one of his first disciples, he told her to go and line up everyone in the hidden zone. As she quickly did as she was told, she might be all nice with him, but the amount of power she was feeling now, she felt like she could even take on Orochimaru. So for the people back at the zone, they would have to do what she said. As Naruto gave her a little bit of insurance, Orochimaru's head, to make sure they listened. After all, if they didn't, he was going to kill them. So with that, Naruto made his way to Konoha after talking to his brother Hamura, who was still trying to convince him. As Naruto saw Haku there and Mito, it stirred something inside him, but he shrugged it off as he kidnapped Yugito. Yugito found herself in a clearing. She tried to speak to Naruto, but he slapped her, telling her to talk in a respectful tone. The Nibi quickly informed her to listen to what he was saying. This was not someone to trifle with. As she bowed her head, she didn't know really what was going on, but it seems like she was way out of her league here, as the Nibi is so afraid for her life. So yeah guys, so basically that's what left off. You guys can switch across the place and check it out for yourself. So this is begin this new episode. We begin this new episode in the Hokage's office. This is impossible. She's nowhere in the village, said Snazzy. As she looked towards Mito and Jiraiya, who was in the office. But I don't understand, said Mito. She herself was at a loss. Yugito was gone. None of them knew where she went. The seals at the house prevent anyone from leave without Mito being notified. And she was there the entire time, so this is quite a surprise, Hein, said Jiraiya. Yes, you already told me that about the seals, but how did she leave? The envoys are on patrol. I made sure to keep a tight watch just in case, with the whole situation that we have now going on with your brother. And she hasn't been spotted going through the village or around, and the seals didn't went off. And you're perfectly sure that they are still active? Yes, I checked, said Mito, as she didn't understand herself. Yugito was just gone. Mito remembers seeing her before she went to her room, before speaking to Kurama. And then, she was not there. They searched everywhere and they couldn't find her. She was nowhere in the village. That was confusing. Hein, do you think that... No, said Snazzy. All the envoys are on patrol. He would have been spotted. Well, given the things that we have seen so far, do you really think that's a long stretch, said Jiraiya. No, said Snazzy, she lowered her head. But if he came back, said Mito, catching on to what they were saying. He would have said something or did something. She didn't know what to think anymore. She didn't know what was on her brother's mind anymore after what happened to him. So she didn't know how he'd react or even talk to her or anything else. But what would he want with Yugito? Meanwhile, at the hidden zone, Yugito found herself in a strange predicament. Just a moment ago she was at the village of the Hidden Leaf. And now here she was, watching this girl in front of her beat the absolute crap out of a few rebellious Sound Shinobis. Teiwaya didn't take lightly to them, not listening to her commands, as she stomped the living crap out of them. None of them here had the power to even face her at the moment. She felt so much more powerful that if Orochimaru was alive right now, she would have killed him herself. After all, she never really liked the snake. Yugito, for her part, was having an inner monologue with her tenant. So he's basically a god. Yes, said Nibi. From what her father told us, not even him was able to defeat him. They got the seal on him, but not because they won the battle. I remember it now, said Yugito. That strange cracked seal in his palm. The diamond. Yes. So all this time you were trying to figure out. Why didn't you tell me? Well, I wasn't certain. And I didn't want to bring up something if it wasn't really there. So that is the reason I just leave it be. But now that he's out, this is bad. Really, really bad. I haven't been here the entire time. Do you know what happened? Asked Nibi. Seeing that she was completely shut off. Back at Namikaze household after all, she wasn't inscribed into the seal like Mito was. So she couldn't speak to Nibi for the entire time she's been there. Mito was inscribed in the seal, so she was allowed to talk to Kurama whenever she wished. But she had no contact with Nibe, and Nibe was just there in the seal, all alone. Well, she mostly sleep. After all, a month or two was nothing for a great, ancient beast that's lived for centuries now. All I know is what Mito told us. Damn it, I wish I was there, to even hear or see father, said Nibe, as she wished she could see the sage once again. But she would never be given a chance. After all, she knew that her father would never come anywhere near Naruto, fearing the results of him lashing out and doing something stupid. But I thought you said he hate all humans. Well, from what father told us, he see them as lesser beings. Beings that should worship him. That is why they weren't able to get along. Because he wanted to control everything. To treat all humans like slaves who are beneath him. But why did he take me? Said Yugito. For that, I don't know. But just try not to do anything out of the way. Are you saying I should behave like a slave around him or something like that? Look, kitten, I know that is the worst thing for me to ever say to you. After all, you really hate when men try to prove that you're superior more than girls. But this is not a sexist or gender issue. It is just something way out of our leagues. So just don't do anything stupid. I don't want you to die. Well, if I go, you'll be going as well. This is not about me right now. I'm certain that he's gonna take me one way or another. But I can't just... Listen, kitten. You have barely started living yet. I've been around for a very, very long time now. I don't want to see your life get taken away so easily. What you saw earlier, that is the nicest how my father described him to be to humans. You mean after he slapped me in the face? Well, if you had heard some of the description that my father said that he did to humans back in his time, you'd have understand. But just try your best not to do anything out of the way. Yugito sighed. Well, this was just becoming more and more complicated. Why did the Raikai get to follow the sound and the sand and attack Konoha? If he hadn't, none of this would have happened. She glanced towards the girl ahead of her to see the girl finish beating the crap out of the sound ninjas. They were now on the ground, all of them with their head lowered. There was a large group of sound ninjas, some of them bruised, from the attack that Naruto had came in with. But all of them were on their knees. The people of the hidden sound, all the civilians. The sound was not a really rich place after all. Orochimaru was a true leader behind the scenes. But it was still not so beaten down like the wave once was. But the people didn't look all that healthy, and they didn't look all that rich. But everything was just normal and calm. At the moment all of them were gathered, as she looked towards a massive crowd that was in front of her. As she wondered where did he went, he just headed off. Meanwhile, up in the high mountain regions, a cool, thick air washed down on Naruto. He was on one of the tallest mountains, just looking up in the sky. Not paying attention to anything else, he was just staring up at the sky. He had a strange feeling earlier. There was something wrong. Not with him. He knew that his coils were being constantly destroyed and reformed. But that was not what he was talking about. The reason why he was here was to finally find Ragnarok. After all these years, his creation had been sealed away by his dreadful brother Hagoromo. But it's time that he finally saw his creation once again. But that was not the reason why he was staring up at the sky. He had shrugged it off in the back of his mind. It was when he first awoken. When he first came back in the world, his power had leaped off into the air, breaking past this earth atmosphere, diving into something different, and he had a strange feeling that he was not alone. Something was out there, something just like him. He remembered a long time ago what his mother said to him. That brought a smile to his face. At least, he would have some challenge when they come, and he knew that they would be coming. Flashback to when Naruto power first released. As Naruto was emerging out of the seal, he was right. The fluctuation of power didn't stop on Earth alone. It broke through Earth's atmosphere, rippling through all the dimensions that Kaguya created. After all, the entire world was shaking like nature was fighting itself. But it wasn't nature alone that Naruto power seeped through. It broke through all aspects, all worlds that Kaguya created, all dimensions. In an unknown place. This was definitely not Earth. A set of eyes opened up. Someone was standing there. Did you feel that? A voice said. Yes, But who is it? I don't know. But there's power. What does it remind you of? Well, one of us. The person behind the one that was speaking said. Yes. And that's the strange thing. It reminds us of one of us, but we've never sensed something like this before. Where is it coming from? I don't exactly know. But I intend to find out, whatever it is. That was not the only thing happening. At Earth, in a separate dimension, two black eyes opened up as a hand was resting on a table. The nails of the hand were painted black. The hand tapped on the table a few times. It seems that the person was deep in thought as they were leaning back in a chair. They didn't make a move or say anything, as their hand simply just tapped on the table. It was quite concerning, he thought to himself, to feel such power in this day of age. It seems like he was not alone, he thought. Indeed, he was not alone. End of flashback. As Naruto looked down, at the moment that didn't concern him. After all, there was a lot to do. Slowly, his body started to shimmer as he simply fades right through the mountain, going straight down, deep down. His body then returned back to solid as he landed in an underground chamber. Glancing around, as Naruto walked towards a far wall, as he touched the wall to see 3 slashes in it. This was where he did all of his creations, all of his experiments, before things went bad between him and Hagoromo and Hamura. And he sealed him here, Naruto thought. Looking towards the ground, Naruto saw a massive sealing array. That sealing array spread out wide. Placing one hand down, he started to absorb the chakra. Fuin Jutsu was strong and powerful. It was inescapable from the inside, unless you had someone outside to help you break it. After all, if it wasn't for Naruto Uzumaki pulling on the seal from the outside for power, Otsutsuki and Naruto would have never break it, and they would have never combined to be one. But when he was on the outside, he could simply drain the chakra and completely take it away. Without the chakra, the power to sustain it, even an everlasting seal that was forged with chakra to sustain forever, it would completely break down. The line started to fade as they crack apart before it exploded. The sealing array exploded around like glass was breaking. Wasting no time, Naruto moved forward as a compartment to the wall just split open. Another sealing array coming up. Naruto simply sighed. He went through many precautions to block this place. Time skip. It took 15 minutes to drain all the chakra from the sealing array around. At the moment, Naruto was on the ground, coughing up blood. He had added so much more chakra into his body, it strained his coils even more. He got to his feet. After all of this, he's gonna really need to rest. He wiped away the blood as he made his way. He finally saw it. It was like a door, but at the same time it was like a different dimension itself. As he stepped through, he was still in the mountain base, so inside was very cold, but when he stepped through that strange portal, he arrived on soft grass. Soft, fluffy grass that went on for miles upon miles. He narrowed his eyes, his rainy Sharingan taking a glance at the entire place. Meanwhile, a red eye opened up. Father? A deep, growl voice said. The thing recognized Naruto as his father. Back to Naruto as he was making his way. Suddenly a massive shadow flew over him. Looking up, Naruto saw a strange beast. Looking down towards him, it had yellow eyes. It was big as a Kyuubi in its full form. Compared to that, Naruto looked like a small ant. The thing lowered its head, its voice deep and grumbly. It had 4 sets of wings, razor sharp teeth, slitted yellow eyes. Who are you? What are you? The thing said. I didn't create you, said Naruto. but you have the same power flowing through your system. Tell me, where's Ragnarok? You know my master? What are you, the beast said, as he looked over Naruto strangely. This was his first time seeing actual human. Suddenly, a mighty roar split the heavens. In this strange dimension Naruto was in, the entire world shook. The entire dimension trembled. Power exploding from that roar. The beast with the four wings turned his head. Master. Several more creatures, different size, different shapes. All of them seemed to be of a flying type. Razor sharp teeth. Some of them had 2 or 3 tails. As that was not the issue though. A being, a beast, 3 times the size of the Kyuubi. It was large. It wasn't as large as a Jubi, but it was up near to that stature. The thing landed on all 4s. It had one mighty tail, 2 giant wings protruding from its back. It had red fur with black lines going all around it. And the thing that may surprise many was that it had the eyes that Naruto possessed. It didn't have the Megatamas, but it had the red Rinnegan. Father? Naruto levitated off the ground as a mighty beast came forward quickly. Father, its voice deep. You're back. The beast couldn't believe it. Yes, Ragnarok. I'm back. As Ragnarok looked over Naruto, as he couldn't understand it. He sensed the power, it was his father, but he was so much smaller. How? How are... I'll explain that in due time, my son, said Naruto, as he patted the large beast on his head. I see that you've created some friends of your own. I've been miserable, father. Trapped here for a long time. It took me a while to figure out how to split my powers, which I did, as you can see. It took a while for me to regain my power after creating these friends of mine. Hagoromo, the day that we were facing off against him, I was knocked out. Yes, I know that. I'm sorry, I wasn't much more help. It's okay. You don't have to apologize, said Naruto. Despite him hating humans, there was none of that dark tone when he spoke to Ragnarok. His tone actually sounded like a, well, true father. After all, Ragnarok was his proud creation. He was the one that created Ragnarok out of the power that he stole from Jubi. It was when he was experimenting, when he came from his coma, when he learned that he could create living beings from his Rinnegan. So what Hagoromo did with the Bijus were nothing special. After all, he got the idea from Naruto. Naruto was the one that first used the Jubi power to create Ragnarok. What happened after I was sealed away? It was bad, said Ragnarok as he looked at Naruto. Hagoromo and I fought. He tried to take away all your chakra that he used to make me, father, but he could not. His eyes are not as powerful as yours. Naruto simply smiled. I fought him relentlessly, over and over, trying my best to make him bring you back. But I still couldn't defeat him. He was still too powerful for me. Him and Hamura both took me on. I was defeated and I had to fled. I was angry. I wanted to make him pay for what he did. So I burned and destroyed all the villages and all the people that he came to protect. I slaughtered them one by one. Naruto smiled like a proud father as Ragnarok seemed to just be happy from the praise. The other creations were looking at their master as they were shocked. They never seen him act this way before. He was always serious, always a commanding figure, but now he was acting like a young child. Well, from what he told them of the outside world, that was what they could presume, but they would never say that. They had too much respect and love for their master. And something was strange because even though they never met Naruto before, they felt an attachment to him, like someone they must serve. It was because Ragnarok chakra was in them, and Ragnarok chakra was Naruto's, and they felt the same bond. I fought, and I fought as much as I can, father, but they hunt me down. They tried to put many small seals on me, but your power was just too much, and I broke through them instantly. Until he said that he will send me away to make sure I don't cause any more harm. Before that, I burned all of his studies. I burned everything that he came to research, and I slaughtered the people that got close to him. He got angry, and he created this place, and he tossed me inside here with the help of Hammer. I tried and I tried, but no matter what I did, I just couldn't break free. And eventually it drove me mad. But I know that one day somehow, I prayed to the heavens. I called out your name knowing that you will be back, Father, to rescue me from this place. And then we will get revenge on them. Naruto simply smiled. I'm afraid that is over, Ragnarok, he said. What? Hammer and Hagoromo died a long time ago. It seems like age caught up to them. But what happened to you then, Father? The last thing I remember, after waking up from the fight, is that he told me that you would never come back. And nothing else. I didn't know what to do after that, so I went away. Trying to find you, I thought that you had just went away. But after burning his village and forced him to tell me, he told me that he locked you away. So, what happened, Father? He sealed me away. For a very, very long time. But eventually I was able to break free. And now I'm back. But he died a long time ago. But I thought that you couldn't die, Father. I thought that you would stay alive like me. Forever. Don't worry about me dying. So you will stay here forever, Father. As Naruto simply smiled. As Ragnarok couldn't take it anymore, as he wrapped up Naruto in his tail in a hug as he brought him, Naruto simply patted the beast on his head. It's alright now. I promise you, you'll never be... Naruto coughed up blood. Father! It's okay. No, you're hurt. No. Just a bit of side effect after being sealed away. Ragnarok growled dangerously. That made the other creations angry. I wish that he was here right now, so I could rip him apart for what he did. Calm down, said Naruto. That instantly calmed down Ragnarok. We will make sure that we torture him by slaughtering as many humans as possible, just to make him suffer for what he did. But not now. I need to rest. Rest? Yes. I'm afraid that it's gonna take a while for me to get back to my feet fully. It doesn't matter how long it takes, Father. I've been sealed away here for a very, very long time. I lost count. I don't mind waiting a bit longer for you to get back to your feet. As Naruto smiled, I see that you've done a lot of creating. Seems your imagination has run wild. As Ragnarok, for a creature of his massive size, looked like he blushed in embarrassment. To see his father proud of him, it looked quite strange. But Naruto didn't seem to notice that at all. As he looked around at all the other creations around him, all of them looking. As Ragnarok turned towards them, they all bow. I have, Father, he said. Naruto smiled. This is so much more better. Come on, let's catch up. After all, it's been a long time. Yes, too long, said Ragnarok. Time skip. As Naruto had left, after making some improvements, as he made his way back to the hidden zone, now standing like a literal god in front of all the people that were below him. He was standing on air. Many people were looking in awe as he was just standing there. Not even a single piece of his clothing was moving. He was just standing, suspended in the air like a god, looking down on all of his new subordinates. My name is Naruto Otsutsuki, and from today on, I will be in charge. I am your new god, said Naruto. Many of them looked at him. They didn't say anything after all. Teiwai had came here and put the fear of God into them by kicking the crap out of anyone that questioned her or their new god. And this guy seemed even worse. All of you, bow! A fluctuation of power exploded from Naruto as all of them dropped to their knees. As long as you obey me and don't step a foot out of line, all of you shall remain living. All of you shall live to the best of your human lifespan. After all, Being a god does involve some perks for your subordinates. You people, civilians, ninjas alike, you will no longer be as weak as you are right now. My power shall be yours, and you shall use that power to wreak havoc on this world. This world is ours. No hidden village, no ninja village shall stand in our way. I am going to take everything whether they like it or not. This world is going to bow. And we're going to cause as much chaos as we can and slaughter anyone that gets in our way. To the people of the sound, you're all lucky. You get to be in the grace of a god such as myself. From today on, you are no longer normal people. With my power, you are blessed by my divinity. It doesn't matter who you are. Your power will not be measured as regular shinobis who are pathetic, weak humans. You will be under my supervision. And together, we will take over the world. Said Naruto's voice booming over the area. Many of them trembled. Something about his voice just shook them to their core. Despite him not wanting them to be afraid, he wanted them to understand that with him as a charge, they would take the world, as he was going to use them and cause much chaos as possible. I can tell that many of you are in denial, despite feeling my power. You think that it will be impossible to take over the entire world. Well, let me show you a glimpse of what I can do. Naruto slammed his hand together before looking up at the sky. The sun was shining bright in the sky. As his body started to tremble, the amount of power that was leaking out of him would have drained Kage's within seconds. No ninja on the earth could produce as much chakra as this at the moment. Yet he was just letting it flow like a river. Despite levitating off the ground, the earth trembled. Many of them stood there in fear as they were afraid. But then a shadow loomed over the place. They all watched in pure shock. They looked up, sweat. Many of them peed themselves out of fear. When a giant meteor was falling from the sky, the thing was blacking out the sun. Many of them started to pray for their life, afraid. Yugito was towards Naruto left at distance. Now she completely understands what Nibi meant. She understands fully. Meanwhile, Teiwaya was marveling at Naruto. She still couldn't believe that one person can produce to hold power like this. He was truly a god. Held out his hand, a small black ball formed, as Naruto squeezed the ball in his hand until it became white. As he tossed it up in the sky, it slammed right into the meteor and went straight inside. One snap of his finger, boom! The thing exploded. It was disintegrated. The explosion seemed to eat away at every last piece of debris. The only thing that fell was sparkles in the sky. Just like that, the meteor was gone. The people looked up. Now do you understand, said Naruto. Hail, Lord Naruto, a man said. Hail, Lord Naruto, another one said. Hail, Lord Naruto, they started to chant. Hail, Lord Naruto, as it got louder and louder and louder. They never thought the hidden sound would ever become anything but a small weak village. With Orochimaru in charge, they all went through poverty and suffering, but they were never completely broken. But now, they had a god who was promising them the world. Now you all witness my power, said Naruto, making it all go quiet. Any of you choose to disobey me or step out of line, I will not hesitate to rip you out of existence. You all will receive a dose of my power. You all will be moving from ordinary ninjas to something special, to be command under me. First of all, this place is quite disgusting, said Naruto as he looked around. The other hidden villages are quite large, powerful. Their tiles, their marble tiles, showing their village wealth and riches. This place will change. I'm giving you all 3 years to develop and turn this place into my kingdom. No broken down homes. All of you must be dressed properly to show proper worship to the god that you're worshipping, said Naruto. I am well aware that this will cost money for different fields of contribution, like creating buildings. But that isn't an issue, Naruto said. His hand then lit up in a blue flame. Cosmic creation, he whispered. Naruto placed his hand down as he lowered himself to the ground. Something then started to form underneath his hand out of thin air. All of them watched as he raised his hand. The more he raised, the more the blue flame came up with his hand. By the time he stepped away, there was a massive wall of cash. All of them looked on with disbelief. You, said Naruto as he looked towards Tiwaya. Yes, she said. I assume that you have all of this under control, to make this place fitting for a god. I will, she said. Alright. Don't disappoint me. I won't. She nodded. As Naruto started to walk away, the people started to chant again to their leader, breaking them from their stupor as they realized everything was going to change, and for the better. Meanwhile that was going on, the other nations were at a stalemate. After all, that meteor could be seen from everywhere. Mito was currently outside along with Snazzy and Jiraiya. A few ninjas were out there as well. Sasuke was at her left. All of them stood there stunned. So, he's that strong, said Snazzy, finally breaking the silence. They all knew that only one person could produce power like this. Only one person could do something like this after speaking to Hagoromo. And they all knew that it was him. As Snazzy was afraid that thing could wipe out Konoha and leave nothing behind. It was a meteor, for God's sake. He pulled a meteor from the sky. Anyone who wouldn't be afraid of that was just stupid. She realized something: this boy could end the world. Meanwhile, back in that separate dimension, the man that sat on his chair, fingernails painted black, tapped his fingernails again. In front of him was a small mirror of the world outside. You are powerful, he said. Meanwhile, the hidden rain, Pain, stood on top of his ledge, as he just witnessed something that he only thought someone like him could produce, being a god and all. But who on earth, who just produced something like that? And who had the power to destroy that in one shot? What the hell was going on? His mind ran on someone. If this was indeed that girl's sister, it seems like they didn't pay much attention to him. As Conan, his faithful friend, looked at him. This was bad. Really, really bad. Whoever this was. This wasn't ordinary at all. Meanwhile, as Naruto walked back inside of the chambers, the largest house in the Hidden Zone, the daimyo had lived here. As Naruto had slaughtered the man, the only reason why Orochimaru allowed him to live was to keep his underground base secret, to prevent anyone from finding out that the Hidden Zone was under his control. Well, after the attack on Konoha, that was no longer a big secret, but he still didn't kill the man. After all, he dealt with finances, and Orochimaru came to him anytime he want anything. And the man was too afraid to test Orochimaru, so he handed over anything he pleased. But Naruto didn't really care about that or money because he could create money himself. After seeing the object, he just uses creation ability to create anything he wish. And he created money out of that, and that was quite easy. Even though he looked strong on the outside, on the inside, he's been using too much power to show off a bit. As Yugito was walking at his side, he had told her to follow him. As she glanced towards him, she didn't even know what to say. She was cut off as he fell. He fell to the ground as her body just moved on instinct, catching him. Blood burst from his mouth as he collapsed. What is going on? She said. He took several deep breaths. She looked him over. She could tell that he was in pain, but despite that he fight through it like it wasn't even bothering him. I'm fine. As he slowly got to his feet, he made his way as he was at a chair there. It seems that the daimyo of the Hidden Zone think of himself as some kind of supreme leader. He had his own throne. As Naruto sat down in the throne, "What exactly do you want with me?" she asked. "Do you know what happened to me?" he said. She was surprised because he spoke to her so calmly. The last time he was, well, quite angry when he slapped her. As she still hadn't forgiven him for that yet, she was quite angry herself. having someone slap her like that, to try to control her like she was some worthless woman under his control. It made her quite angry, but she was listening to the Nibi advice. Yes, I've heard things from Mito. He saw his finger twitch just a bit, but nothing else. Well, I am no longer Naruto Uzumaki. My name is Naruto Osusuke. I still remember everything from my past as Naruto Uzumaki, and I remember you as well. He was going to choose you as one of his personal maiden. What? You will be my child, said Naruto. She blinked. Excuse me? You heard me, he said. You will be our heir for me. You and many others. This world is quite large. And I will have my children rule at my side as well. To make sure all the humans still stay in line. Why did she calmed herself? Why would I do something like that? Because I said so. It seems like you humans still don't understand. What is the situation that you're currently under? That girl out there. She understand. And she quickly fell in line. She will also be one of them to bear my child. You must be groveling at my feet right now. After all, I am presenting you with a gift. My seed, said Naruto. She blinked. Despite saying that he was a whole different person, he sounded the exact same way as Naruto Uzumaki. He would say something like that. I didn't sign up for any of this. You didn't have to. He saw you as a potential mate. And this body of mine, it bears some affection towards you. Stupid human feelings. And don't I have a say in this? Yes. You'll have a say to raise a child when it is born. Other than that, no. And what if I say no? Naruto laughed as he simply rested his head on his palm. As he went completely silent. Aren't you gonna answer me? She said. It is gonna take a couple of years for me to get my strength back. 100%. For that time, you'll be my personal maid until I'm back to my feet to fetch and receive what I want. You should be quite honored to serve by your god so closely. I expect a thank you. You just said you're gonna literally force me to have your child, and I have no say in the matter, and you expect me to thank you? Yes, and I'm waiting. Yugito, just do what he says for the moment. Just don't do anything that will get you killed. But Nibi, this guy is what? She blinked. Wait, did you? Yes, I'm well aware of the conversation with that beast inside of you. Hey, can you hear me? You're talking to me? Said Nibi. Yes, I am. How are you? All of that chakra, it belongs to me. It is entwined in my system. I can hear what you're saying. I can also tell where the other tail beasts are. At the moment, I'm leaving them be. I'm not ready. I will spare you. The only reason why is because you're telling your human to listen to my orders. It seems like you understand how things are gonna go. You do, don't you not? Yes, Nibi said. Yugito was quite surprised. After all, Nibi was a powerful being, and yet cowarding in front of this boy. He must really be something. Although I will need some of your chakra for later use. But unlike the others that I've extinguished, I will not tear you to shreds. As long as you don't do anything to disappoint or anger me. That include your human. She won't. Nibi, kitten, just be quiet for now. Yes, Lister, kitten. Yugito sent a small glarious way, but that was all that she did. A thought then came to her mind. What about Haku? What about her? Well, she loved you. She still do. You're telling me you felt nothing for her, even though you've changed. What about your feelings? Are they just gone? No. Then, why not bring her here as well? Why not? Have her bear your children. Unlike before where I didn't care about humans. Now, these stupid feelings keep on coming to me. What feelings? You know, you're the first human I ever talked to this way. Most people question me, I kill them instantly. You should be privileged. Can you just answer the question? Fine, human, said Naruto. These feelings that cause me to think about this stupid past that Naruto Uzumaki has lived. So you do love her. So why? Do this with me then. Because Naruto Uzumaki liked you. Not what he felt for Haku, but he liked you because of your body. Despite you humans being flawed creatures, you have quite the enticing figure, said Naruto as he eyed her up and down, as he was looking at her like she was some piece of meat. If I was to bring Haku here, it would be different. How? I'm not answering any more questions. Okay then, what about Mito? I heard what you did. You nearly killed her and Sasuke by choking them to death. But I didn't. Yes, you did not, but you were close. She saw him glance towards his hands. You know this is not doing anything, right? You think that this is going to change my mind or let me think otherwise. The only reason why I'm not speaking them at the moment is because of these stupid feelings. But that still doesn't change anything. This world will still bow. I will still destroy anyone that stepped in my path to take over this world. Even Mito and Haku, Sasuke, Jiraiya, Tsunade, all of them. All of the people that you come to see as your friends and family. Well, unlike other humans, I have the power to do whatever I please. And do you really think any one of them has the power to force me to stop? So you would kill them to get what you want? You're one talkative human. You know what, human? I think I like you. Many would have cowered in fear, knowing that you're completely out of their league already. After all, the demon inside of you told you to calm yourself and you're still talking to me. The way you please. That shows guts. Well, if you wanted to kill me, you'd have killed me a long time ago. True. As Naruto's eyes then snapped towards her, her body pressed down into the ground. But still, don't step out of line. Just because I speak to you freely, that doesn't mean you're on the same level and can talk to me as you wish, human. She dropped her hands, panting, as she felt the weight crushing on her. I'm sorry, she said, as the weight released. Much more like it. As the maid came by, one of the many maids that were working in here for the daimyo, as Naruto left all of them untouched. After all, this place needs to be clean. As one of them came by and cleaned up the blood that Naruto coughed up a moment ago, she didn't even glance towards the direction. All of them were afraid of him. Despite the people outside worshipping him, they realized if he wanted he could have crushed and killed all of them a long time ago. Yugito fell down, panting. She understood now why that Teiwai girl became so afraid. It was like he had her life in the palm of his hands. His power was just so overwhelming. It shook her to her core. It was unbelievable to know that someone that powerful really exists. She looked up at him as he just looked back at her. She diverted her gaze away, not knowing what else to say. She see now why the Nibi was afraid of him. We can still talk, but you have to be respectful, human, said Naruto. After all, it will take me a while to fully get back to my feet. And it will be quite boring just to be here alone. Tell me something. What? If you are still Naruto Uzumaki, do you remember everything that happened? Yes, I do. So, what exactly happened? Are you him but not him at the same time? No, I am him. I remember everything, I feel everything the same way. That is why I can't shake these stupid feelings. But I'm not a god for no reason. Feelings cannot overcome me. I overcome it. So you're suppressing them to the point of not trying to feel anything. Correct. A sudden realization hit her. What is it? Nothing, she said. So you really can take over the world? Yes. Then what? Well, after you bear my child. And others. Others, she said. Well, do you want to be the only mother? He asked. You speak as if It is gonna be like hundreds. Not that many. At least 10. What? Or 20. The world is quite large. I will give each of them a section to rule over. She gulped. You want me to be a 20th child for you? Well, it seems like you won't take all the responsibility. No, of course not. It doesn't matter. There are others. From what I got from the snake, there are lots of good females to choose from, with quite exquisite bodies. But yours makes some of them pale in comparison. Thanks, she said. You're very welcome. After all, it's not a lot where a god compliments a human. She was getting really annoyed by this god reference that he kept on referring himself as, but she wasn't going to, well, say anything about it. All that she knew was that she was in some deep crap. Meanwhile, back at the village, at the gate, Jiraiya, Sasuke, Mito, and Kakashi was standing there. They weren't heading the same place. They were going to split up, probably see each other on the road. The stage. They could come and appear to each of them. After all, they both have the power that can bring them to this world. Kakashi was still at shock to when Hagoromo suddenly arrived and told them that Naruto was behind this when the meteor came from the sky. Not having a physical feeling in the world, Hagoromo did not know that Naruto break is sealing to release Ragnarok. Because Ragnarok has not done anything yet. He has not attacked the world or anything. Mito looked over at her friend. I really wanted you to come, she said. It's gonna be fine, said Haku, as she smiled. I've made a lot of friends here. And not to mention, she glanced towards Snavy. She has made me her apprentice. Thank you for that again, said Haku. As Mito nodded a smile, after all, she was the one that tells Snavy that Haku was quite skilled in medical ninjutsu. And Snavy took a real liking to the girl. She was wise. And a quick learner. Snavy was going to teach her many things. Even how to use her super strength. Well, I guess it's goodbye, said Mito. For now, said Snavy. Make sure to come back strong. You as well, Uchiha. Said Sasuke. Snavy didn't want to say it out loud, but she knew that the whole world was depending on Mito. Well, Sasuke gained some involvement. After all, despite not being family, they had a bond as well. She glanced towards Haku. She never knew that Naruto and this girl was in a relationship. She could probably be a big part of it as well. She just hoped that all of this worked out. After all, she didn't want Konoha to witness one of those meteors dropping from the sky. Alright, we don't have time to waste. Let's get this show on the road. Mito has already said goodbye to the rest of her friends. Many of them still completely unaware that Naruto was not, well, at the village anymore. Many people want answered. Snavy had to calm the growing suspicion of what happened today from the meteor. But many people are not told yet. She will have to talk to the counselor herself. But once Mito and everything was out of the village, she will get everything sorted out. As the group start to walk off, they stop a distance away from the village. Well, I'll see you in 3 years, said Mito as she smiled towards Sasuke. Yeah, he said, as he showed her a genuine smile. Don't worry, we'll get him back. She gave him another big smile. Alright, Sasuke. You too, Kakashi-sensei. Don't be so lazy. And stop reading those boring, perverted books. Huh, my books are a work of art, said Jiraiya. You wish. Mito waved off as Kakashi gave her a smile. Still completely at daze to what just happened. The world was just, well, being twisted in so many ways. But at least he's playing an involvement. As they separated, Mito walked off with a big smile. Yes, it doesn't matter what happened. She will get her brother back. Meanwhile, at the unknown location where Naruto had released that power that destroyed the meteor. There it is again. Whoever this is, for us to feel the power so far away, this will be interesting. As a pair of Byakugan eyes, we're just looking forward. But guys, if the end episode right here, what's the next part, be sure to do like, subscribe, comment down below, and turn on that bell notifications they posted. But I'm off now, see you guys soon, peace.